So, another day and another bout of console fanboy salt. You love to see it. So a few days ago, MBG tweeted, "Are you more likely to buy the PlayStation 6 or the next generation Xbox?" And if you've been watching my channel for any amount of time in the last few months, you should be pretty aware what my answer is. With all of the nonsense surrounding the Nintendo Switch 2, I had no incentive to buy that, and I honestly don't think I have any reason to get into the new generation of consoles either. The PlayStation 6 is just going to be an expensive repeat of the PlayStation 5 generation, and all of its exclusives are going to go to the PC anyways. And the new Xbox console is basically just an inferior PC with Xbox branding. I genuinely don't see what reason there would be to go to these platforms, especially if you're already on the PC. Especially since consoles are more expensive than ever and PCs are more affordable than ever, not just with things like the ROG Ally and the Steam Deck, but also just PC rigs in general are a lot cheaper than they used to be and way more affordable. It's to the point now where PC gaming is objectively the best gaming platform because any issues that their platform may have can be mitigated and they pale in comparison to the issues that the consoles have. But wouldn't you know it, just at the mere suggestion of not getting either of these consoles and switching to the PC, a lot of console fanboys from both Xbox and PlayStation were very mad at this. So let's take a look at the best responses, shall we? Tripster says, PC doesn't have the ease of use of a console, PCs lack convenience. I mean, if convenience is what you're wanting, it don't get more convenient than the ROG Ally or the Steam Deck. But also, how is a console easier to use than a PC? Like with both devices, you turn on the device, go to the store page, purchase a game, install it, go to the game, and click play. Like, how is one easier to use than the other? If anything, I would argue that a PC is easier to use just because of how exposed to PCs you are in the modern world, but can you say the same for consoles? Twinwar says, nah, I don't like waiting years for games to come to PC, also I'm not a big fan of the problem with QA on PC, the optimization is just not there, and developers nearly always prioritize console over PC. Yeah, of course, that's why Sony is bringing all of their games to PC and why Xbox is essentially copying PC, because developers just prioritize console over PC, am I right? But breaking this down bit by bit, you don't like waiting years for games to come to PC, that is a literal skill issue with your brain. If the only benefit to console is that you get to play an expensive, worse version of a game a little bit earlier than we can, that is not an advantage of your platform. Also, game optimization being worse on PC doesn't really mean much if the games achieve higher frame rates and higher performance resolutions on the PC anyways. Like, when was the last time you saw a 30 FPS cap on the PC? When was the last time that games could achieve 165 FPS on the consoles? Because the answer is never. Darkborn says, PC ports have been trash, I'll stick to PS5 and get a PS6. Again, operating under the assumption that there are no bad ports on the consoles. The PS4 version of Elden Ring ran better on the PS5 than the native PS5 version did, and that also applies to the Xbox equivalent. Then you have the Silent Hill remake, and Until Dawn remastered, and Final Fantasy XVI, and Forspoken, and Redfall. All of these games having abysmal performance caps on the console, but no, console ports are really good, it's the PC that has issues, right? Like, I'm not even denying the idea that bad ports of games release on PC, but at the very least, we can fix them ourselves, either by just brute forcing through the issues with powerful hardware, or by downloading mods that can make the game less stressful on our hardware. Like, where can you do these things on console? To use me as an example, Space Marines 2 was one of my favorite games of last year, however the game ran terribly on my PC, as it was capped to between 40 and 80 FPS on average. I waited a few months, played a few other games, and through many updates and developer support, the game can now achieve between 80 and 165 FPS on my PC. Like, again, where is this support for consoles? Chorizo says, nah, I'm good with that. PC is more expensive than Xbox, and we all know that PlayStation is better than PC. PlayStation is better than PC, which is why Sony is trying to capitalize on the PC audience. That's why Sony is bringing all of their games to the PC. Like, dude, if you're not gonna give me any actual reasons for why PlayStation is better than PC, I'm just gonna assume that I'm right and you're a fanboy. But also, like I said earlier, and like I'm showing on screen right now, just by searching gaming PC into Amazon gave me quite a lot of very good PC builds between the £500 and £800 to dollar range. Like, PCs are cheaper than ever. Mr. Fister says, I will hold on to console for as long as possible, so my answer is the PlayStation 6. I will never understand why people have such undying loyalty to a company who is blatantly taking advantage of them. I am loyal to the PlayStation brand and nothing will change that. What's that? More expensive hardware? 30 FPS caps? Paying to play your games online? The price of PSN going up around the world? It's okay because I will always be loyal to PlayStation. Fucking grow up. Square Lit says, too bad no PC gamer has the marketing reach or influence that Sony has. PC gaming only appeals to dorks, which aren't very many, so your message won't get very far. Remember the Helldivers 2 situation where PC gamers were able to make Sony back off from the idea of forcing PSN in Helldivers 2? Like, PC gamers managed to beat Sony, so we clearly have some influence. And clearly we're willing to influence the industry more than console gamers are, because we're not gonna bend over backwards for every shit decision that Sony makes. Also, PC gaming doesn't appeal to many players, guys. It's not like there are more PC gamers than console gamers combined. No, we'll just ignore that. PC gamers are the problem. James says, why PC? It takes too much space. Okay, so build a smaller one. Get a Steam Deck, get a ROG Ally. Like, this isn't a fucking argument. Consoles take up too much space as well. Like, I'm sorry, but if the house you live in is so fucking small that a PC takes up too much space, I think you have bigger problems than the size of a fucking PC. WebDJJ says, PC has no games. We have all of the games that you do, plus a hell of a lot more. Like, seriously, shut the fuck up. This argument holds no weight. Like, there are more games on Steam than the console ecosystem combined. We have all of the Xbox games. We have all of the PlayStation games. We can play basically any Nintendo game via very easy emulation, and that also applies to PlayStation and Xbox games that aren't compatible with the modern hardware. A simple Google search would have disproved this entire narrative. Will Never says, but the PS5 costs the same, if not cheaper, for a comparable GPU. My guy, if you think a PlayStation 5's GPU is comparable to a top-of-the-range PC in 2025, like, you're fucking stupid. Like, the PlayStation 5 was outdated even for 2020 standards. But also, are you implying that there is only one GPU for PC gaming? Because there is a hell of a lot to choose from, and that's kinda one of the main benefits of PC gaming, the fact that you have such customization and freedom over your build. Fluffy says, a high-end graphics card alone will cost more than the PS6 and the Xbox, just get a console. Oh yeah, totally. PCs are just far more expensive than these modern-day consoles. Let's just ignore all of these examples I'm showing on the screen right now. Also notice how you conveniently forget to mention that literally everything else on the PC is cheaper than the consoles, including the games. You get free online gaming, you get better discounts, and you also get discounts that you don't need to fucking pay for to get. Not to mention the fact that generally speaking, a PC is just a better product than a gaming console anyways, so yeah, obviously it's gonna be more expensive. It is a better product. Not to mention it's an all-in-one product, because with a gaming console, it doesn't do everything that a PC does. Meaning that if you want the utility of a PC, but you're on a gaming console, you'll have to buy a separate PC, which obviously would cost more money than if you were to just get a gaming PC, which would likely save you money in the long run. WizJ says, not everyone wants a PC, that's why the next generation of Xbox is designed to be convenient like a console but still has the power of a PC. The average consumer does not understand how to update their drivers, switch out parts, etc. You almost made a compelling argument, but you just had to keep talking. Updating drivers is something you have to do like once a month, and it's easy as fuck to do. And swapping out parts is completely optional because, again, you could just buy a pre-built PC and then replace the entire PC if you really wanted to after a few years with a brand new one. I wouldn't recommend doing that, but it is an option available to you. Again, you almost had me agreeing with you with the idea that a PC is not for everyone, but then you had to fuck over your own argument with the second half. Perfect Dark says, nope, we play the games when they come out. We don't wait, so PlayStation 6 it is. No one cares about Xbox and PC is irrelevant. Again, if the only benefit of your platform is that you get to play a more expensive, inferior version of a game that is coming to other platforms, but the only benefit you have is you get to play it a little bit early, that's not an advantage of your platform. That is just a skill issue with your brain. PC gamers don't give a fuck about waiting for the superior version of a game because we have so many more games to play in the meantime. Can you say the same for your platform? Sassy Weiner says, let's see, PlayStation 6 will cost $600 before tax, a comparable PC will cost $1,000. I think I'll stay on console. First of all, if you think the PlayStation 6 is going to be cheaper than the PS5 Pro, like you're a fucking idiot and you haven't been paying attention to history. But also, no, you are wrong. A comparable PC will cost you much less than what you are implying. I don't know why we still make the argument that, oh, to get a comparable PC, you need to spend thousands of dollars. It's just not true anymore. And if you do decide to spend thousands of dollars on a PC, what you will get is a PC that is light years better than the consoles anyways. So really, what's your point? Darius says, I work too much and don't have the time for the setting up of parts, not paying over $1,000 on one thing. First of all, making yourself sound like a piece of shit by saying, oh, I don't like PC gaming because I have a job, I work too hard, which is the most patronizing thing I've heard in a while. But also, bro, if you think you're spending less than $1,000 on the consoles, like, you are freaking delusional. Consoles are costing you over $500, you have to pay to play your games online, games are more expensive than ever, like, you are spending over $1,000 on the consoles pretty casually. The long-term price of consoles is only getting more expensive, and the long-term prices of the PCs are getting cheaper, so I really don't know what to say. Richard says as long as the consoles are cheaper and easier to use, they're not going anywhere. No one's denying that consoles aren't going anywhere. The question is, why are you still on consoles? But given your argument, I can see why you're still on console, because it doesn't matter to you that games are more expensive and PSN is more expensive and the controllers are more expensive and you have 30 FPS caps and you have all of these broken promises. All of that is perfectly excusable in your brain because the console is a couple of $100 cheaper than a PC. The hardware is cheaper, therefore everything else is excusable. And you wonder why Sony and Microsoft and Nintendo keep taking advantage of you. Sprite G says, I'm getting a PlayStation 6 because I want to play the games first. Again, you do you, dude. Like, buy a PlayStation 6, you can get the more expensive, inferior version of a game that's likely going to be a buggy mess on launch anyways. As a PC gamer, I'm going to work through my massive backlog of games and then play the superior version of that game for a cheaper price in a year or two. Keyblade Dragon says, I hate PC gaming so much. That's perfectly fine. You don't have to like PC gaming, but there's no denying the fact that it is the future of the gaming industry. PlayStation is bringing all of their games to the PC, and Xbox is making their future hardware like a PC. And a PC is a more appealing purchase than the new generation of consoles. That's just the way things are. Little Brando says, if Xbox is a PC, then I'm getting an Xbox, easy to plug in and play. Once again, you had a decent premise, but you fucked it up because you didn't stop talking. Consoles have not been plug and play since the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3. Everything after that has been you buy a game, you download it to your platform, and then you play it. Like, if consoles are plug and play in 2025, then PCs are plug and play too, because it's the exact same formula. Sir Raddington says, why? So I can spend 3 hours fixing a game before it's playable, because 90% of PC ports these days suck, just so I can wait a year or 3 to play some, not all Sony games? Again, PC gamer to PC gamer here, when was the last time you actually had to spend a huge amount of time fixing a game? The only time I can think of is on the Steam Deck, because obviously it's a Linux device and not every game is compatible for it, so yes, a few minutes of tinkering is likely required for quite a few games on that device. And also, 90% of PC ports are broken these days. Where did you get that statistic from? And hilariously enough, even if it was true, the PC port will almost always achieve better frame rates than the console port can, so who the hell cares? Saving the best till last, we have this gem from Tristan. Throw away the convenience of having a fixed plug-and-play console that has all the best exclusives and has no problems with ports, crashes, or component upgrades, just for a PC that gets only some bad ports after 2 years and doesn't have the stability a console has? No deal. Okay, breaking this down bit by bit. Consoles are not plug and play anymore. They haven't been plug and play for a while, and if they are plug and play by your logic, then PCs are as well because it's the exact same process. You then say that the PlayStation has the best exclusives first, which is irrelevant because the exclusives are coming to the PC by your own logic and almost always have better performance caps. You say that the consoles have no issues with ports or crashing, which is a flat out fucking lie. Anyone who is a gamer will tell you that games can crash on consoles. You say that consoles have no issues with component upgrades, which is a fancy way of saying that you don't have the option for component upgrades on consoles. You say that PCs only get some ports of PlayStation games after a few years, which is hilarious because I genuinely can't think of any PlayStation games that aren't on the PC off the top of my head. Notice as well that you don't talk about the fact that games generally run better on PCs, they have better graphics, they're generally cheaper on PC, you have more games, you have mod support, you have emulation, you have free online gaming. Notice how you conveniently don't talk about any of that shit. PC is worse than console when I don't include all of the benefits to PC gaming, am I right? But now we're approaching the end of this video, guys, so I just want to reaffirm as always. Once again, I am not saying that console gaming is completely irredeemable, like obviously there will be a market for console gaming, and I appreciate that it exists, because at the end of the day, PC gaming is not for everyone. What I don't appreciate, however, are console fanboys lying about PC gaming and potentially influencing whether someone gets into PC gaming or not. Especially when they end up lying about their own platform to make it seem better, because at that point you cannot be taken seriously anymore. But anyways guys, that's all I've got for you today. I thank you all for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe and all that good shit, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care.